again, this is TJ at Ignition Saber Company. Just wanted to show off this latest creation. This has been a nice collaboration between myself and RedFox Drummer to do the gorgeous powder coating and paint job on this. This is for a customer who is giving this as a gift to his wife. She is a fan of ancient Egypt and everything Egyptian. So we worked out some ideas that the customer had as far as things they wanted on this saber in the etching. For instance, the scarab on the shroud was kind of a must-have. Definitely wanted a scarab on the shroud. Wanted some sort of Egyptian writing of some sort. And then basically just left it up to me to come up with a design. Of course, I worked it up and showed it to the customer for approval. And he was absolutely over the moon about it. And I'm very happy about that. I take these custom etches very seriously, and I want to make sure the customers are happy with what they get. This is just some Egyptian writing. Of course, I don't speak or read ancient Egyptian, so I hope it doesn't say anything ridiculous in ancient Egyptian. But everything looked good together, and like I said, the customer liked it just fine. Did some sort of traditional Egyptian wings, kind of like you might see on a sarcophagus or something like that, with the Jedi symbol in there. Tied the Star Wars into the Egyptian just a little bit. Of course, it's on both sides. As I said, RedFox Drummer, Kelly did a great job with this antiqued kind of gold, bronze, copper powder coat. It's a really interesting color, and I don't know that it's coming across in its full beauty on camera. It's a really great color. It's definitely more interesting than like a traditional gold. It does have a matte top coat on there, so it is kind of a nice, has a nice sheen to it, but it's not super glossy, which is a favorite thing of mine. I don't care for glossy powder coats myself. I like everything to be a little more matte. I'll flip this over. This was something I thought was kind of interesting. I'm always kind of at a loss for something to do on the belly of the saber. And since this was ancient Egyptian themed, I know snakes were kind of a thing in ancient Egypt. We see that in the hieroglyphs and whatever. So on the belly of the saber, I etched snake scales. So like the belly of a snake. I thought this turned out really nicely. And boy, were they a pain in the ass to get right and to get the etch right, and then get the resist off and make sure they were all defined and look as good as they do. I think they turned out really well, and I thought that was a really kind of a neat thing to have on the belly of the saber, where you actually don't see it very often. You can feel those scales on your fingers. There's a very good tactile sensation of that, which actually helps grip on the saber. So it is a really neat feeling when you're holding the saber. So, again, Kelly, man, RedFox Drummer did an incredible job with this scarab. The customer wanted a multicolored scarab after he saw my etching. Let me back up a little bit. After he saw my etching, he wanted the scarab to be multicolored. And RedFox thought about it and thought about it and thought about it, and we talked about, getting him copies of the resist so he could try to multi-layer powder coat it, and he just wanted to make sure it looked as good as this customer wanted it to look. So he decided to powder coat the base coat, and then I think he enamel painted the scarab, and then put the matte clear over it that he put over the entire saber. So that thing is just gorgeous. It's got some texture to it. It kind of looks like something you might think would be painted on a sarcophagus in ancient Egypt, in a pyramid. So really gorgeous. He actually also included one of his blade plugs for the buyer, for the customer. If you haven't worked with Kelly before, RedFox Drummer, he is an excellent person all around to deal with. His powder coating is excellent, and I can't recommend him highly enough. He is just a great person to deal with. So if you need any powder coating done, of course, there are lots of great powder coaters in our communities, but he is definitely one of the great ones. So don't hesitate if you're going to deal with RedFox Drummer. He's an excellent human being and person to deal with. Now, this customer ordered this saber empty, but I have built a test kit so I can actually show this thing installed. I can show, I think from now on, I'm going to show most all of my sabers installed, whether they came installed or not. So, as I've told you in another video, all the Ignition Sabers are going to come standard with Blueforce Company's Ignition sound font, which is, too perfect that he had a sound font called Ignition, and my custom sound font called Death and Darkness, which is a Sith-based sound font, which works very well with this saber due to the fact that I kind of associate ancient Egypt with a lot of sacrifice, and things like that, a lot of toil, building those pyramids, they were just terrible to some of those people. And so this Death and Darkness has kind of screams and stuff in the background, and I think suits it really well. So I'm gonna cue it up, and then we will take a listen. All right, so this should be. This has a fire blade as its main setting. Force sounds. This is set up with battle mode, so I can get lockup. Well, maybe I need to put a blade in to get that to actually have the distance that it needs. And why don't we do that? Let's go ahead and put a blade in. Ha. It does have battle mode, like I said, so I can spin it on. And twist off. All right, here we go. So we can, has a nice fire blade. You hear those screams in that lockup? It's so amazing. Blueforce Company did a great job with this font. I am so super happy with it. Again, it washes out a little bit here, but you can see the true red. You can see the true red down there in the reflection. This saber also comes with, or my installed sabers also come with Blueforce's Ignition. Got a nice yellow golden blade I thought would look good with this kind of Egyptian saber. Again, it kind of washes out on screen, but you can actually see the yellow in the reflection. It's kind of a golden yellow, which I thought turned out really well. I've put a weathered brass tactile switch in there. Got your force sounds. Got your lockup. So yeah, that's Ignition. It's another sound font from Blueforce. You can also swing on. That gets you past the kind of broken up preons that you get with Ignition. This is actually Ignition Redo is what Blueforce Company calls this font. So if you want to, I've got the alternate preon set up here so it doesn't chug, 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 chug before it actually comes on. The Ignition sound font actually has a preon that's a really neat kind of non-functional saber preon, and then it comes with several in the extras folder, and I've got one of the extra preons set here so it's only slightly broken up. But if you don't like that, when you swing it to turn it on, there is no preon kind of damage And the font, when you swing to turn it on, it comes immediately on. And of course you can turn it off that way. So that is the Saber. Very happy with how this turned out. Again, this was not an installed Saber from the customer. I just have this set up so I can install and uninstall this easily. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I hope everybody has a great day. Thanks again.
Pass on what you have learned.